Hey there, good people, it's your Crippled Critic, and this week I'm going to talk about the game Abzu. Abzu is an underwater exploration game for the PlayStation 4, and it lets you interact with sea life as well as investigate ancient ruins. Abzu was developed by the company Giant Squid and published by Italian studio 505 Games. The lead writer and director of Abzu is a man named Matt Nava. Matt Nava was originally the art director on the Journey team before he left and made his own company. Matt was inspired to make Abzu because of his love of diving, although he insists that Abzu wasn't made to be a scuba simulator. Instead, it was made to give you the feel of what it's like to swim with aquatic life. A huge amount of effort was put into getting thousands of fish rendering at once running on the PlayStation 4. Also, the team did extensive research into getting the individual movements, behavior, and look of the fishes done exactly right. There are hundreds of different types of sea creatures in the game, and they're all based on real animals. Anyway, let's take a look at the controls of the game. So unfortunately, Abzu has some pretty limited controls, and although the game is simple enough that you really only need to press a few buttons to play, the controls for it make it much more complicated than it needs to be. There are only two things you can change, which is the camera and your swimming movements. Not really the sensitivity of anything, just whether or not the controls are inverted or normal. The controls were automatically inverted, which was extremely disorienting right off the bat. Once I changed the settings, things were a lot easier, but it was still awkward and hard to get used to. To be fair, good swimming mechanics are hard to find in any game, but you'd think with a game that's always underwater, that would be a priority. R2 must be held down in order to swim you in the direction you're facing, while the left control stick lets you aim. L2 also needs to be held down, and it lets you hold on to and ride different fish. Square is used to interact with objects, and there's also the circle button that lets you roll, which seemed completely useless to me and I have no idea where they put it in. Abzu is fairly linear, and there aren't really any moments where you have to move in quick motions, but still, I don't think players with fine motor skill impairments will have an easy time. The game has no spoken dialogue, and the story is told through the gameplay, so there's no need for subtitles, which is a plus. The soundtrack is okay, but definitely not needed to experience the game fully, if you couldn't hear it, that is. So deaf players shouldn't have any trouble at all playing Abzu. Players with visual impairments should be fine as well. Although Abzu is mostly about exploring underwater, there are moments where you can learn about some of the fish that you interact with. In the game, there's something that's called meditate, and it lets you stop and look at the different kinds of fish in the area. Once in this mode, you can hover over each type of fish, look at its behavior, and get a brief description of it. So Abzu is very similar to the game Journey. It has the same basic formula. The story even has a similar theme of spiritual awakening. They even seem to have the same kind of art style, although Journey had more reds and yellow colors, and Abzu used more watercolors like blue and green. Get it? Ha! Watercolors. But still, Journey was an amazing game, so you would think that any similarities would be a good thing, right? Yeah, except to me, these similarities seemed really forced. What I mean by that is, Abzu tries way too hard to give you a deep, meaningful story. It just falls flat. It's just a sweet, sappy, save the environment story that we've seen a million times before. There are some sci-fi elements they throw in at the end, but they feel like they were just put in there to make it confusing as to what time period you're in. It also seemed like the sci-fi section kind of clashed with the realistic underwater world, visually speaking at least, but that just made me feel like the developers cared more about making the game as real as possible when it came to the fishes and interacting with them, and just making a really nice scuba diving experience. So why not just make Abzu a scuba diving simulator? I would have loved it. The underwater setting is unique enough in games that you could definitely do that. I mean, as much as I disliked playing this game, there were a few moments I had some fun, and that was when the game let me explore and swim with the fishes, not hand-holding me through this boring story. I mean, I did get to ride a giant stingray. That was awesome. I needed more of that and less of the contrived story that you thought we needed in order to be more like Journey. Anyway, Abzu is really short. You can beat the game in a few hours, and although I had trouble with the gameplay, if you like these sorts of games, I do think you can give it a try. Just know there are other games that do it a lot better and at a cheaper price. $20 is a little pricey for what this game is trying to give you. The animation is beautiful, but I feel like the game would have been a lot better if they just stuck to the main idea of being a scuba diver. There you have it, guys. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you later.